Yeah, and I'll be first. Hi, Zoom world. We're in person, but I'll start first. So I'm Jermaine Brooks, agent since 2014. Now part one of the owners of List Sale Buy Team. Who's next?
Go in order.
Let's go clockwise. What's your name?
It's Carter.
Everybody's side-eyed means strong.
Yeah, I go. I'm James Ingram. I'm a part of the Good Life sales team, or it's gonna be Zimmer Group, Zimmer Realty Group. Local agent, been licensed 4 years. Anything need or want, got a deal, bring it up.
Eddie Donnelly, Threshold Group, and out of Asheville. I've been licensed since 2015. Got my license in Ohio in January, and moving Threshold Group up here. Still have Asheville, and just kind of getting going in the Cleveland market.
Yeah.
Love that.
I'm Portia Sharp. I've been a real estate agent for 4 years now. All of my time at KW, solo agent. There it is.
Love that.
That's my kid.
It's your showing assistant.
Yes.
That's your showing
Exactly.
Exactly.
Carter.
King Carter.
Yeah.
Brian Owens, I'm with Coldwell Banker. I'm looking at, giving KW a try.
There's a long time.
There's.
I'll present you guys
Oh, so dark side.
Possibly you're coming.
I love it though. So, thank you.
I'm Shantina Wells. I'm part of the Sale by Team with Jermaine, and I got licensed in March.
Hey, welcome.
Hey everybody, my name is Eric Stitt. I'm also newly licensed as of April 2nd with the List Sale Buy Team. Happy to be here.
Everybody's on the List Sale Buy Team.
We ain't doing something right.
Doxy Jelks. I got licensed a long time, several decades ago.
I'm saying, I gotta say it, you gonna say it.
1980, I was licensed in 1980, so over 40 years. So I've seen a lot of as the world turns in real estate. I'm with the North Star team with Lisa Gaines. We've been with Keller for 5, going on 6 years. 14, December 14th, of year 14, what's that?
6 going on.
6, oh my God. Guys, we've been fortunate to cap every year.
Yeah.
Love being here. Doxy Jelks. And my new recruit.
Yeah.
AW.
Newly licensed April 5th.
All right.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Oh, me.
I'm Satrina Young. I'm not on the list by sale. I've been in the business since 1988. And like Doxy, I've seen
I was born in '87.
plenty turns.
Don't do that to people.
I started, that's okay, you can be my child. I've seen 16% interest rate, 18.8. I've seen buyer's market, seller's market, and I've never seen anything like this, and I want it to go away.
Serious.
Am I next?
Yeah.
I'm Lisa Gaines. I'm with North Star team with Doxy, and we've been here 6+ years. I've been licensed for 16 years, and I was a sales professional in a couple of other industries prior to this. But this year has been a very interesting year, but we're still here. I'm still standing, as the song goes.
Tia. Sorry.
I'm Tia, I'm Carter's assistant. I've been licensed for 2 years. Okay,
That's part of the system.
I know everybody, Michael Rapaski, part of the staff here at Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan.
I think I know everyone. If I haven't met you yet, you've probably seen me email you. I'm Julia Cumming, the MCA for the office.
I'm Carrie Mitchell. I've met or spoken with most of you guys already, and if not, hopefully I will soon because I process commission, so hopefully you'll see it.
So you get paid, right?
You gonna check your money.
That's a good idea. Carrie email people we need stuff. Oh, why not get paid?
No Carrie. Julia's the backup. So money people, right?
Carrie can go on vacation.
How many people on Zoom?
We got 9, not counting our 2 accounts.
Okay. All right, well, I think we jump right into it.
Yeah.
Our KW Brown is KW, oh, we got so many alphabets. Goodness gracious. KW Brown, part of Keller Williams Greater Metropolitan. I'm gonna say that, so I don't say KWGM. But it's our faith and good faith to get us all together as African American agents. We noticed that we have different issues and different problems within the market as being an African American and just running a business. So we do need to start getting together and expressing those thoughts, those feelings, trying to figure out what works, what doesn't work, and being a sounding board for each other. So that's what we need to start doing. And this is our first one. We had a couple like meet and greets and outings and things like that, which were more social. But now we decided to somewhat start sticking to the business and growing the business. We all know that, as the business grows, then, individuals grow and become, better and give back. So as we, venture into this is our first panel. Portia, you want to be first?
I was gonna get it over with.
It's not bad. This is gonna be good.
No, I'm good.
All right, so Portia Sharp, she's gonna come up first, and she's gonna talk about
Where to find business.
where to find business and things like that. And then it's gonna be more of a conversation. So we'll listen to Portia, and we'll let Portia lead from here, and we'll just all chime in.
Okay.
All right, you get the hot seat.
Thanks for warming it up. All right, so I'm first of all excited that everybody came here. It's been a while since we all seen faces physically. So I know, like Jermaine said, we have different ways of doing business and getting business. So just a quick show of hands, who gets their listings by expired calling? Just period. Just one call. You said, okay, so you said the money call you, huh? I'm trying to be like this guy. Eddie. So I think when you first come into Keller Williams, they teach you a lot about just getting on the phones, calling expired, calling Fizbos, withdrawals. What else is it, like for rent by owner? I do a lot of my business that way. I know a lot of agents that people call them. They're on social media heavily. They're out networking heavily. They just have friends in high places, whatever the case may be. What I'm finding in my 4 years of my career is that, yes, most of my listings pretty much just come from picking up the phones and calling. And that is a very scary feeling sometimes, especially if you've never had a telemarketing or sales position. But we do things like script practice. James and I and Rudy, who's on live, and Tia and I, we would form these groups. And in the morning, we would get on the phones at like 7 a.m. with each other, and we would script practice. So we are here to help you get through those hurdles as far as script practicing. And one of those things to remember about that is the scripts are just tools. They're not for you to go out and sound like Diana Kokoska or, whomever's teaching you the bold coaches. They're for you to arm yourself with things to say and comebacks, if you will. So we practice those scripts so we can get comfortable with what to say. I'll be honest, I don't know what the new script is because the objections during this market are completely different than they have been in my few years. And I haven't mastered those, just being honest. And I think a misconception too, as a new agent, is you come in and you see people like myself or people like Jermaine or whomever stand up here and we talk and tell you things, and it looks like we're so confident we have everything figured out, but we all learn from day to day. So I would say finding your business, number one, just comes from putting yourself out there. Like I might go to a restaurant and make friends with any and everybody in the restaurant. And I've literally gotten most of my buyers to come from that type of networking. And a lot of my buyers come from Facebook, social media. So it's important to kind of diversify any way that you get your leads. But the biggest thing is really just talking to people, no matter where you are, no matter who it is. I know people that will leave a tip at the restaurant with their business card. Does that work all the time? I don't know. There are just so many avenues that you shouldn't feel stuck to one. But if you have the basis of keeping in mind that there's the saying that I just wrote on my whiteboard in our office, that you can't spell deals without leads. It looks cute when it's drawn out, so you can see that it's the same letters, but you really can't spell deals without leads. And then you can sit up and lead generate all day, but if you don't follow up, you're not going to get the business. And it can feel, very defeating when you're beating up those phones daily and you're not getting any leads or you're not setting any appointments. But you have to remember to go back and keep chasing these people. This is very much a cat and mouse type of game here. So I don't know if anybody else has any other suggestions that anybody do Facebook or get any of their leads at a high level without, being on the phones and calling expireds. Anybody else do get a lot from social media?
I do social media.
Okay.
And I found that to be pretty successful.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, 90% of our business is lead generating within our sphere. Yeah. So with us having, the years that we have, we're mining the field of people that we've done business with.
Mm-hmm.
And that works the best. That gives us the best returns.
Yeah.
And everything, I'm still trying to master how to do Facebook without getting, how's politically correct, without getting a lot of phone calls that are not real calls, or not applicable to my business.
Yeah. And see, that's where I have had a hard time with Facebook and Instagram throughout my years, just because everybody's in my inbox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're in the business inbox, the personal inbox, which should probably just be one, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes they're falling by the wayside because you can't keep up. But then most of the time, their credit is like a 480, if that's even possible. But you're like,
It's possible.
And then there's those times where you feel bad, like I want to help you. So then you try to help them, but then you're taking your time to help these people and they're not even converting, or they might go with someone else because they're family friend. That's a big thing. You're always competing against somebody's family member or friend. But I will say, to Lisa's point, through the pandemic, I think Bold or Family Reunion, one of those things. So tap into the trainings, because they do, even if you've taken them more than once, you'll likely find something new each time you go. But I think Bold or Family Reunion this year really got me the light bulb on, like, you need to connect with your sphere. And I know the last few weeks I have been really chasing the Expires and Fizbos and stuff again, but I sent out a postcard. I went to Vistaprint, spent like $30 maybe, put my logo, KW logo, and had a picture of like sunshine on the front. And it said brighter days are ahead. This was like right before spring. So I went to Mark's, and Mark's had flower seeds for like probably like $1 a piece. I think I bought 50 cards and 50 seed packets, and I wrote a personalized message to each one of my past clients and people that are just, you know, friends or that I don't talk to often, but, you know. So I printed out a little, like a sheet this big, and it listed all the houses that I sold last year. And I put that little slip in there with the business card and the seed packet. I had about 5 people out of 50 respond, and 2 of them called me like, I want to make an offer on something that I already had my eye on, but I just want to put an offer on it. And I'm like, sweet. All I had to do was write it up. You know, and then another one called like, well, hey, I'm interested in the address. Can you search it for me? Now, even if those don't convert into money immediately, now it showed me that just by keeping in touch with my spirit, which is something I never did, I was always chasing new business. You know, that's money in the bank. So in times like these, that's, you know, important. But our spirit sometimes looks different. You know, our spirit are sometimes, for me, single mothers that don't have necessarily all this money to buy a house, or their purchase price isn't going to be $300,000. So how do you work through those and work through those conversations? I find that most of my buyer clients are single women, and that's just a way to connect. So if you have a certain way to connect, if there's certain something about you, college mom, you know, investor, whatever it is that you do, you find those group of people that you can connect with. And a lot of the listings, my listing presentation started off as me going in the house and saying, look, I'm gonna sell this house because I'm hungry. And that literally won me at least a few listings, but it was true. So I just think finding a way to connect with people, always talking to people, always letting people know what you do. When you're at family functions, I don't try to real estate everybody to death, but if I hear just the slightest little inkling of jump in there, I'm gonna jump in. And just make friends everywhere you go. But I would say definitely find that one base that is gonna be the biggest source of your business. So that base for me was calling expires and withdrawals. And then everything else outside of that brings it in. But there are some people whose base is social media. And there are some people whose base are waking up at 7 a.m. and going to networking events, which I've done. And there are some people who just go out and party and talk to everybody they know. So, yeah.
Just a quick question. I never did the Fizbos, cold calls, things like that. Mm-hmm. Not because I didn't want to or have to, it was just because I just hated getting hung up on all the time. Dealing with a lot of new agents that come in on the team, they, like when you give them a list of leads to call, it gets really intimidating. Can you speak on like how you got past the intimidating part?
Oh, yeah.
And just the fact that I had one agent like, gave me all these people in Westlake. You know, now I have to call, and you know, it can be intimidating. Like, you know, a newer agent calling somebody in Westlake, like you've never been in Westlake. So how do you get over that?
Well, first of all, I fake it till I make it, because I don't go to Westlake, and I will call somebody in Westlake in 2 seconds and act like I know everything. And sometimes I'll sit there and Google their address and look at the map to see what's over there. I'm like, oh, the rally's on the corner, yeah.
Right.
You know, but I'll tell you, it's still, after 4 years of doing this, I still get intimidated. I still have days where I'm not feeling it. I still have days where I'm like, oh my God, this house is $500,000. They're gonna be like, no. Right. But I still do it. So the only way to really get over the intimidation is, number 1 is to do it. Number 2 is to script practice. And then T and James can account for this. I'm on the phones, and if somebody says something smart to me, I'll probably hang up and call them all kind of names, and the phone hang up, and then laugh about it and keep it moving. And then I've had people that were very rude, and I just give it back to them. Like, what they gonna do? Fire me? They didn't even know. You know? So, but the phones is tough, and I'll be honest, I suck at Fizbos, but I'm great at expires and withdrawals, at least in the past time, because right now I have no clue. how to get these people. Yes.
What would you say about like quality control as far as your conversations, like asking qualified questions versus just talking? Because I feel like when I first became an agent, you're on the phone, but you don't know what to say. But you see somebody else call that same person and get the bill, right? So the quality of the conversation too is being overlooked.
It's again,
That's it.
two pieces. Number one, the scripts, because again, the scripts are not for you to really read off of, and that's what I used to do. They're for you to just take in and understand. When a person says, well, I'm not giving my house away. Okay, well, what do you want in there? I would have never knew that unless I had practiced those scripts. Or, okay, well, I have a cousin that's a realtor. Okay, well, what's more important to you, your cousin that's a realtor, or that you get this house sold and that's what you want? Those are in those scripts. And there was times where I would read off this thing and I'll be like, this is just not working. But when I start practicing them, start internalizing them, start understanding what the conversation is boiled down to, first step. Second step is, again, that connection. Just realizing this is a person on the other end of the phone. If you ask them that first question, I'm just calling to see your house expired, I'm calling to see if you want to hire another agent, they're either going to say no, or they're going to start talking. And if they start talking, now this is just a conversation. And if they say no, you can be like, well, F you too. You know.
Both helps too. And, or I look on, I know, and I have been an agent for 9 years before coming to KW, but you know, it gave me the inspiration to look on YouTube and to listen to tone. I know that I have had to change how I present in talking to people, even if it's people that I know, it's the tone.
Yes.
And bold little things like, you know, your body language. If they drink water, you drink water.
Yeah.
You know, if they lean in, you lean in. You know,
it's hard to think about that stuff sometimes, but sometimes you
Literally, that's all I do. I
but it works
literally
with your
sit
family
and watch
too.
people and just copy the whole time.
Yeah.
You do a fake British accent.
Oh, he might be on something.
Until you get to the door.
Katrina, you were.
Oh, I was saying the key I call all the time, actually when I first started here, I was with a small minority company. I said, I want to get different business. So that's the only thing I did. I came in every day at 8 o'clock and they said I was an extension of the young team because my booth was here and the young team's office was right there. So I was part of the young team temporarily. But two things, when people just keep hanging up, it doesn't faze me at all. But you just never know what that next call. But one time I was on the phone from 8 to 10 and I was doing all kinds of stuff. I'm sick of this. Got a listing in Chesterland. Never had a listing in Chesterland. I got an appointment in Chesterland. I went. My car wasn't the greatest then. It was snowing. It was a blizzard. The people were watching me outside the window, not assisting. Went in, got the listing, but they told me, they said, we want to think about it. And sometimes I'll just be frank. I said, came a long way. Did you see me stuck in your driveway? Do you trust me? Yes. I said, well, let's sign. You call me on Friday. You trust me. If you say go, I'm going. You say no, I'm not. The funny thing is, I kind of forgot about it, follow up. And they called me and said, are we live yet? I was like, yeah, right now. I'm ready to put it in. But that one call, the only call that was successful, I sold their house for $260 and sold them a for sale by owner for $600. So that was $800,000. So I would have stayed on the phone 10 hours for that $800,000 sale. And the other point that you mentioned is the personable part is the most important. You can use those scripts, but that tone.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how many people I talk to because I don't even know why I'm still talking to you. I hung up on everybody. I know why, but it's the tone that you give off. I'm going on an appointment tomorrow. I haven't been calling because I can't find any expired listings. Everything sells, but she started off, we talked for a half hour. Sometimes you have to leave what they're talking about, the objections, and talk about what they want to talk about, the house. In my script, I use all the scripts, but the only thing that I do use that's probably not a script is when I call, because I don't want to hear about them selling it on their own right now. I tell them, hey, I know you're selling the house on your own right now. But if you ever choose to use a realtor, I'll have an opportunity to come out, da. That just breaks the ice. Then I use the rest of the scripts, but that tone and being personable, you can use a script, but like you said, sometimes it just doesn't work because you're like a robot. And that person is a person, they're not a robot. And it's just listening to them and their tone. And sometimes you have to go back around to come back again because she said no 4 times.
Yeah.
But I'm going on an appointment tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And so, but that's what it came from. I didn't even say anything to her no's. I said, you know, I normally call sellers and we always tell them we can get you 10% more, or we definitely can probably get you 20% more because I've seen the prices. But that I can't stress enough is just to stay in there. I don't care how many people hang up, who cares? They can't hurt you. And just keep calling because that next one could be your gold line. You just don't know.
And I've done that too. I've been like, set a time for myself, or it's usually about an hour. I'll get on the phone. Sometimes I get fancy and stay 2 hours. I'll be like, okay, I'm done at 3 o'clock when we got. And then 2:58 will come and I'll be like, this is just, I'll quit. I'm over it. But something sometimes will make me power that last 2 minutes out. And I've a lot of times, more than once, just got it in that last minute, in that last second. But it's definitely, I feel like when they know that you're intimidated, you know, I feel like even like if you're walking into a listing appointment or get on the phone and you're like, you know, you don't know what to say, but you're tripping in your head because you don't know what to say. They don't know what you're supposed to say or not supposed to say, or that you don't know. Like, just fake it till you make it, if you ever heard that term. And I feel like they know when you're like thirsty for a listen. So, like, you need this listen. I'm not leaving this house. And they probably won't give it to you, but if you act nonchalant, like, oh, okay, well, good luck.
Yeah, I have done that before. I've told a person on the phone before, I was like, you don't know who I am? You don't know who I am? They was like, no, you know? Oh, I'm sorry. You're not the person that I really want to talk to. They're like, hold on, what's going on? Like, you know, tell me something.
And my favorite phrase recently is Google me. I was like, well, you can Google me, and I don't even know what Google say about me.
That's
I definitely don't.
I should probably Google it. But I was like, okay.
Do that right now.
Yeah. But tell me, I have no clue, but I figure, hey, I'm pretty sure my name gotta come up, right?
Bunch of stuff about you selling homes.
There
it is.
You know, on Google, so
Yeah.
it works. I don't even think they ever go back and Google. I think they just like the confidence. Like, you can Google me.
One of the things you mentioned earlier was about being hungry. And a trick I used to do when I started was I would intermittent fast, and I would stop eating at 7 at night, and I wouldn't allow myself to eat again until I set an appointment next day.
Get out of here.
Damn.
That's how you get on these fancy hats.
I need to get on that for another reason. It's nothing to do with
That year I closed 62 transactions.
I love it. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Right, how much weight did you lose to get
I didn't lose a lot of weight. I was always
I'm not worried about it.
So I mastered my scripts, you know, and that was one thing that I still do. I script practice every day.
Oh, wow.
Monday through Friday, you can hit me with any objection, anything, I can handle it.
Yeah.
I know my scripts backwards and
A lot
forwards.
of times the same the same script will work for like a million objections.
Right.
It's pretty much what do you want to net.
Yeah.
And mostly comes back to that, you know.
They don't even know what they want to net.
No,
They think then they selling it for 120. Yeah, but I need at least 118.
They want that
Getting that without me.
Zillow estimate tells them.
Right.
Then
Zillow.
it depends on whatever avenue that you're doing. I think every avenue has a certain time of day that,
Yeah.
like, calling, for me, and I've tested the theory, for me, I think I got a lot more responses between that 7:00 a.m. and 9:00 a.m. hour. It's okay between the 10 and the 9 and 11 hour, okay. And then the evening, I'm still trying to figure out. Sometimes maybe it's 5 to 7. Actually, you're right. I think the last time I did an evening, like a real evening, it was like around 6 o'clock and it was gone. But then I tried that noon. I'm like, people gotta be on lunch break.
No, that morning is perfect though, that
Yeah.
like 8 to 10, 10:30.
But social media might be better at noon,
Right.
you know?
Like,
you
social
don't know.
media is 8 in the morning and at 7 p.m.
Okay.
So if you post it, because of how the algorithm works, it's only gonna catch you in the morning. And then it's not, if you don't say it then, it'll be 2 or 3 days out.
Yeah. So I say whatever works for you, whatever, I don't want to say whatever you're most comfortable in, because you do want to push your boundaries. Nobody's comfortable getting on the phone unless you're Eric. But I don't think anybody likes to get on the phone. I think it's just something you have to push yourself to do, and it gets easier and easier. But wherever you are highly skilled, whether that's social media, you know, or whether that's networking and getting out and dealing with your people, you just do that at a really high level and add some other proven things in there. So that's all I got.
One question in the chat that, can you read that?
Yeah, what apps are you using or programs to get phone numbers for expires, withdrawals, and Fizbos?
I use a system called My Plus Leads. It's like $60 a month. You do dial yourself, but it does connect you to Mojo. My honest opinion, I like dialing myself better than Mojo. I've been using Mojo for a few months, and I just don't feel like I get as many answers as I do when I dial organically. However, on the flip side, I could be lazy with Mojo and let it dial, and I just sit back and wait for it to beep while I'm like chasing Carter or whatever I'm doing.
I use Redex.
Redex. I use Redex.
I've
Yeah, I
never
do
used
too.
Redex. I know a lot of people that use Redex.
I haven't seen it though in 6 months, but I'm still paying.
I was just gonna say, I did Espresso Agent, and I literally yesterday sent them the thing saying like I'm done.
Yeah.
Cause it's not, yeah.
Well, here's
It's
the
just not
truth,
good.
really,
I've been to Zillow.
especially when you are new, you don't have to spend money. I used to take these little bold sheets, and it's like, you know, I'm talking about the
Yeah.
little 20, it's got like 20 lines on it. It's got a space for the name and address, and then a check mark if you got an appointment or didn't. And what I would do is some nights I would sit up at night and I would write out all the addresses for sale by owners. And then if you get with
The expired list, Sierra, yeah.
Okay, with who? Sierra, okay. If you email Sierra, she'll send you an expired list every morning. I used to use that every morning. I used to serve forsalebyowner.com, Zillow.com, Truett, and I would write out all these addresses and names and phone numbers, and then I would just go down the list. And if I didn't have time to do that, I would sit up here in Power Hours with Eric, and I think they still do Power Hours. I was sitting here and I would just go through Zillow and click and call, and a lot of times I didn't remember who I called or not, so a lot of people would still talk to me and just for free. So the only thing about these leads programs is that it pretty much takes out the physical work for you, but it's still all the same information. There's something else called freepeoplesearch.com, I think so. And if you find an expired house or something that you're interested in, just type your name or address in the free people search and it'll give you their name and phone number. But that's time consuming, but it's free.
Does anybody know, and it's crazy because about 5 years ago, I was very successful at it. Not expired, not for sale by owner. I chose, say, 6 streets in an area. And some service provided phone numbers and names for those homes. They're not on the market, which is a good tool right now because you can talk to people, tell them about the market. It would work even better now. And the biggest thing, it was 80% right, like you reach that person, and that doesn't happen with the Expire, you know, you gotta waste your time going through 10 to get the right person, but do we have a service now at the company, or does someone know, because I'll pay for it?
That's what I was doing through Espresso Agent. That's what,
The
like,
neighborhood
so they had a
search?
neighborhood search where
They
I
have
was,
it on Mojo and my.
I was fishing out,
With the phone number?
what's it, Solon and Twinsburg. And that's what I was just using, just picking those certain streets and certain areas. But
Who is it though, again? You know, I'm slow, and then I tell you I got my license in
I took
88.
this is.
Let's start talking all that mojo, just tell me where I go. I don't have time for that portion.
Yeah, if anybody wants to do script practice, I'm open. I tried to we did a group a while ago, for a couple months where we did Monday, Wednesday, Friday. It's probably a bit much, but, I'm open to script practice, and again, I would prefer to do it in the mornings, because after script practice, you likely want to just jump right on the phones, because you got that momentum going. But I'm always in need of a script practice partner. We always are open. I probably want to script practice with you, because you probably
Right.
sound like you got it going. And if anybody is doing exceptionally well on the phones in this market, please script practice me, because I'm like, what do I say? She's like, I don't have nowhere to move. I'm like, yeah, you really don't. Forget it. All right, that's it for me.
All right. Thank you. So it's like a comedy show, you gotta keep coming up. All right. You know what, Satrina, a good thing that I've been doing, I've been cheating. The wholesalers, you know, it's a gang of wholesalers, they got all these apps and things like that. I've been paying the wholesaler for lists, and they get them from probate. And they got another app, and I was trying to find it, it's in my phone. This one guy, he's from Israel, and he sends over, like, I can give him a area code.
With the phone number.
He gives the phone number, everything, all the information.
Oh, wow.
If it's a mortgage, how much owed on the mortgage, all of it. I'll send you his number, but it's a wholesalers, these wholesalers get that tools, and that's how they get to the deals.
It was a company, I mean, it actually came to me, and it would have street address, person's name, phone number. I just do, and you talk to about 80% of the people.
Yeah.
And I did really good. I did Bedford Heights at the time, and it was really good. And we used to have something here at the office like that, didn't we? At one point, Julia, we had something at the office that provided the phone numbers.
Cole Realty Resource is what it's called. Cole, COLE.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, but that's not where I got, but yeah. We had
And they no longer for like, well, I don't even know if we currently have anymore. They stopped providing phone numbers.
Oh,
And
wow.
they wanted your subscription to jump like enormously. So it still provides addresses based on like a radius.
Right.
But you could get it with phone numbers, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now, another important thing, Cleveland Realtors Association, how many are members, how many know what it is?
I'm a realtist in Asheville.
I'm not a member now because Doxy didn't follow up with me.
We got my credit card machine right
Last year, and then I didn't do it again, but I always want to support whether I'm here or not.
All right, yeah, so, our brokerage is a member of, Cleveland Realtors Association. So I wanted to get Doxy involved, because I've had the opportunity to be on some of the meetings, listen to some of the committees, and the support that they offer, we don't take advantage of. And that's just being upfront and frank. I remember when I was going through a little situation, and this, that, and other, and the Realtors Association could have been there for me, but I went through it, on my own. So that's a resource that we need to start really paying attention to, supporting the committees, understanding the mission, and being a part of. I know it's hard because we're trying to run businesses, but at the same time, it's a way to give back, and plus they support as well. So I wanted to bring Doxy up just so she can explain what the Realtors is and how much it costs. And she has her card reader too.
It's much less than the Realtors. Cleveland Realtors Association is a local chapter of the National Association of Real Estate Brokers, NAREB. It was established in, hey, Asheville Realtors, good, okay. It was established in 1947. It's the oldest minority trade association. It was established with 11 men and 1 woman. And we have our 3rd woman president coming into office the end of July, and she's from Cleveland. Lydia Kirkland Pope will be the national president of the Realtors, all the chapters around the whole country. And so when you have the national president in your hometown, it gives you a lot of juice. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be real good, especially when you have the Secretary of HUD, which is a very close friend of the Realtors, in office. We plan on getting some stuff done, because we have more leverage. But it's always strength in numbers, so we encourage everyone to come out. With the pandemic, it was hard, but we still had a lot of virtual meetings. We have a young Realtors division, and we had Waka Flocka was on our panel. He was really good too. He's really in real shape. And we did a lot of stuff in the pandemic, surprisingly. And we have counseling divisions. We have an appraisal division. We have a construction division, a property management division. Anything you can think of, we have it. And like I say, our national convention is at the end of July to be downtown at the Hilton. So I encourage everyone to first join the Realtors. It's only $175 since our broker is a member. That's it, $175. What do we pay, $600? Something like that. $175
A year?
a year. And it's very beneficial. We've had people come to us with problems that we've helped out, because we care. And when I first started with the Realtors, the interest rates, I think, was 16, 18%. And it was hard, but the Realtors really helped me. I ended up becoming president of the local Realtors Association. And I
And the
established a lot of,
state, right?
not state.
Okay.
But my first state Realtors meeting was when I met one of the marshals nationally that gave me my highest paid sale back then, a listing in Hudson, and I made $9,000 off by going to that Realtors meeting. But I'll never forget that. And then I've been fortunate to be in places where money would not take you. I've met Rosa Parks. I have pictures at home with her and Dorothy Height. And it's like, I really was there with her only because of the Realtors connection. So we try to help each other. We have affiliates within our industry too. We have lenders, we have loan officers, appraisers that's on our board. So it's the whole, Realtors. Whatever you want to do, we can help you do it. But we need, you there and tell us what you need so we can help you out. Any questions? How long were you Realtors?
We actually opened the office, we started a NARAP office in Asheville right before.
Okay,
So I was the founding group that brought it to the area.
okay, wonderful, wonderful. I'm on the board now of NARAP, and we're trying to get Cleveland Realtors Association, and we're trying to get more younger people involved, because Katrina and I have been out here doing this too long. And we need to bring in some fresh blood. So it's really good to get young people involved, because you can really do a lot of things, plus help your community at the same time. So yes.
Oh, sorry, I was just gonna ask for the dates of the national convention.
It's the last weekend in July. That's the 24th through the 27th.
Back in the day, I learned a lot and had a lot of fun too.
Party
All
hard.
over, party games, no
Yeah.
balls, and
Not
parties
you.
like
My
that.
first Realtors Convention National was in Chicago. That's when I got to meet Jesse Jackson. And like I said, we partied a lot. Didn't get much sleep that weekend, but made a lot of contacts. So, and you can, because, you get people calling you, just like our Keller, affiliates call us for referrals and everything, other Realtors members. We try to network with each other too. So, it's only $175, yes.
Would you explain the history behind why the Realtors versus the
Yes.
real?
Anybody ever see Lovecraft Country?
Yeah.
That was good. Did you notice there was a Realtors office in there?
Yeah.
They were so good, on point. The Realtors were established because we cannot become Realtors. It was a white-only establishment, so we decided to establish our own Real Estate Trade Association, and we became the Realtors because we could not join the Realtors. So that's how we got started.
And one thing that I noticed that I was like, I gotta be involved, is how you can take your license as being a realtor and join realtors and understand how to, you selling real estate changes the community. And that is where it really touched me at. And the times I was on the phone and just listened to the initiative that you got going on, changing legislation. You know, so that's where we really need to support, where we send some of our clients to some bankers and they're like, no, definitely no. And then you send them to another banking institution and it's, oh yeah, we can work with that. Why? Why is it the difference? And that's, you know, that's where I see that you can have some power.
Yes.
And if we all really get involved with it, then you can start seeing some changes.
Yes.
But it has to be all of us to do it.
It does.
And that was one of the biggest things, especially when I got into the development and I started seeing all the hills and obstacles that was put in our place. And I'm like, goodness gracious.
Right.
And then that's when I started reaching out.
Right. We were responsible for, a long time ago, you couldn't put for sale signs in Cleveland Heights. But the realtors helped to stop that because it was a way of keeping us from knowing about the inventory. If you didn't see the signs up, you didn't know what houses were available, right? So it was a ban, Cleveland Heights no for sale signs, but we were responsible for changing that. Yep.
Is there anything being done right now with the realtors as far as these negative appraisals that are coming that are kind of?
Great question.
Yeah, that's on our agenda with Secretary Fudge. Yeah, because,
It's happening all over. And for those of you guys who don't know, there are properties that are owned by Black people are being assessed differently by appraisers and assessed at a lower value. And that's gotta be addressed.
Yeah, I had the lender fire an appraiser based upon an appraisal. I never had that happen.
Wait,
So the lender fired the appraiser, like literally because of what they put on the appraisal report. Now, they never let us see it. They never let us see what they put on it. But they was like, get them out of there.
They felt that it was racist or?
So it was a remodel house on Ansel. So it's right there in that corridor where they started to change pricing.
Yeah.
And they was like, they put in the notes, like, why would you ever come to this? It was crazy.
Lisa, tell me about your appraiser, what he said.
I just had an appraisal that done and I was in the house and the seller stayed in the house as well. You know, it was a situation that we couldn't help. And my seller was asking me what a FHA loan was and what did FHA stand for. And the appraiser turned around and said it's another way for the government to give all the money and to cause an inflation bubble and to, and I was like, what in the world, you know? Yeah, he said a lot of dog whistle things that, you know, talking about, you know, and I was like, first of all, you're supposed to be doing an appraisal. I'm not even talking to you. But yeah, he had a lot of things to say during the appraisal that, like I said, were very dog whistle things. And I was like, So we're waiting for that result to come back to see what's going to happen. So, you know, how that appraisal turns out.
Right.
Because I'm already locked and loaded and ready to respond.
I've noticed that a lot of sellers have had to do it, even in this market, have had to. I mean, I usually send like updates to the appraiser. I might send him over like some last solds, things like that. But now I've noticed that I've had to send a little bit more.
Yeah, bro, like no lie, I sent I sent everything. I'm talking about scope of work, comps, like real comp, not the, you know, what's the name? What they call it? not the Zillow, the one that you pulled.
Oh,
Yeah. No, like real,
Yeah.
actual comps, and to have that happen, it's like, yo.
I had one in Garfield that didn't appraise, and the reason why, and I talked to the appraiser, I called him, I was like, man, we sent you over everything.
Yeah.
I was listing agent, the buyer's agent sent over everything. He said, this is the sketchy part of Garfield.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
What does that mean?
That's crazy.
What does that
That's
mean?
The
crazy.
sketchy part, where's the sketchy part?
That's crazy.
And I was like, man, honestly, no, it's not. This is the good part. This is the sketchy part. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, it's bad.
Clean schools.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, that was one of the reasons why.
I actually met
It
with
has to be
somebody
some
over that.
changes.
I met with like somebody, a city
is that?
official over that the one that I was just talking about, and they were like, yeah, we really need to lock down. But they were saying the same thing. It's not enough people talking about it. It's not enough people saying that it's a problem. They know it's a problem, but it's not enough people that's out here saying like, hey, it's a problem. Like,
Well, that's where I was going to say that's why we need NAREP to address it, because NAREP also has been addressing how some realtors are being approached in the field. When you guys saw it just happen here in the area where there was a young man who was showing a house and another realtor called the police on him.
I had a realtor last week ask me for my card. And I was like, no, like, get out of here. Like, chill out.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I'm out here, like, you know, it's not like who the realtor, like, why would I give you my card? Why do I have to keep it? Like, I got the code.
Yeah, that goes on too much.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Like,
You know what's really funny though?
in front of my client, that's the crazy. I'm like, yo, you wild. Like,
So I have, my clients, some are white, some are black. That's just, those are the clients that I have. So this happened twice in the last 3 months. So going to show a house and an agent's coming out and they walk over to my clients. Are you the realtor?
yeah.
I just stopped here.
Right.
Here's my card. And the one said, then one time I was coming out and she was telling my clients, I'm going in, just leave the door open. Well, I don't play that anymore. I don't care if you are showing it,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be responsible. And I've heard of different things happening. So, but they weren't addressing me. They were telling my clients, can you leave the door open? I said, well, I'm the realtor, but no, I can't. And she goes, I said, yeah, there's just too much liability. You have the code to get in, right? Where's your card? And I will lock that door gladly after that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Both times, they were the realtor, not me.
Wow.
So we got a
Keep going.
couple questions in the chat. So I don't.
I can read it. Yeah, the
Yeah.
first one is, do you ever get nervous going on a listing and buyer appointment in a less diverse area with things that are going on right now? Probably similar to.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Those are the best.
Yes.
You ain't really going on no appointment if you ain't nervous.
Yeah, when I started about 2 years ago, when I really started hitting like Southeast, so Sagamore, Northfield, Macedonia, Twinsburg, like all my clients, I don't really dress up for. You know, we're not dressing up. A lot of them be like spur of the moment, Saturday mornings, let's hit it, then I'm going to the gym. So yeah, I had on a gym outfit. They were, you know, had the kids and everything like that. And the lady, she refused. It was an agent. And this is when I found out what Howard Hanna was doing with all the houses. So when they was coming soon and this, that, and other, they would put it on the market and block off all the showings, and they would hold an open house on that day.
Yes, that's.
So what I did was I hit the button, and it was, even though it was blacked out, it still allowed me to get the code. So I'm like, oh, we're good to go. So let's go on over to the thing. And they were holding an open house. And the agent told me I was not allowed to come in. I gave her the card and everything. I took her card, and she was like, well, the showings were all blocked off. There are no showings, this, that, and the other. And I said, well, it's live on the market. And I reported them. It's live on the market. I don't understand why I can't come in. It doesn't say it's an open house being set, but it's 5 people that have walked in here. And that's what they were doing. So, yeah.
Wow.
Totally.
Wow. So did anything come of the reporting?
I have no clue. I didn't even follow back up with it because it happened so much. I mean, and it made me just intimidated. I know James, him talked about it before. Like, A lot of times, as the big black guy going into some of these neighborhoods, yes. And then I got a big black Suburban. I pull up and everybody like, neighbors fleeing. You know what I'm like? And I'm the nicest guy. I get a, hey, how's it going? You know, this is that, another, trying to hold a conversation.
I got the police call on me in Bretnall for my listing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and all I was doing was going to take pictures. Chris Hicks was with me. It was him and I, and he was doing the drone video.
Wow.
And about 2-3 minutes before we could even get in there good, here came the police.
Wow.
And I was like,
So should that be reported to NAREB, our local NAREB chapter? All these things be reported to see if there's something that can be done?
That's why we need you.
yeah.
That's why we need you. So you can tell us this. you know?
Because if we're not talking about it and trying to do it and getting together about it, because you shouldn't be stopped doing your job,
Yeah.
you know? And that affects, our income. So,
And on the other side, which is funny, I get calls all the time like, Jermaine, you want to take a client to East Cleveland?
Yeah, I'm doing
Yeah.
not to mention names, but I was like, you're probably like the biggest person in here, and like a whole man, and you sent me to East Cleveland. So I'll take it.
I won't.
Well, that was like my year number one. So I
You
was
can't
like,
close nothing near the building
Can't do it.
department. They have you go out and do your own point of sale.
yeah, you don't. Yeah, the
Right.
right there.
We gotta go over here and take pictures and do our own point of sale and send them to the building
Yeah, that's
department. And they tell you what they want done.
I'm
going through that right now, so
And
They have an
then they
expensive
lose the
point of
POS.
sale. I mean,
It's been 7 years, praise the Lord. Thank you. Yeah.
Wow.
Right there.
Oh,
Yeah, we have one other
Oh,
question.
sorry.
Back on the appraisal subject, how would you explain that to your sellers and how would you properly report an appraiser?
Appraisers have a commission, just like a real estate commission. I went through this with an appraisal down in North Carolina where, I reported them to the appraisal commission and we went through a whole process. So you let the lender know, the person, the people who hired the appraiser, and then you go through their commission, report them that way. And, that appraiser wound up having to go back out, reappraise the property, and it appraised the second time, begrudgingly. But, I had a valid point and, they took it seriously because their license was on the line at that point. So, so they did go back out and reappraise, but up until then, they kept telling me, no, this is how it stands, even though they made a mistake.
Man.
So, and other than that, there's nothing you can do.
Yeah.
It might be good for us to get like just a list of places to call, like
Shit,
like hotline
sure.
numbers.
Yeah.
Because a lot, I mean, this is just us in here and no telling how many other agents are going through that. Or with
Sure.
that. So what do you do?
Yeah.
That's
Like,
crazy.
I know me, I'm just like, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I lost a whole deal off that.
I'm definitely a whatever.
And it got back under contract and appraised for more. I was like,
Wow.
because my investor at the time, he was like, I don't want to overpay for it. And I'm like, no, the appraiser don't understand the changes that's going on in this neighborhood. So they don't know how to assess it right. Like I said, I gave them everything. I gave you how much materials cost to do it. So the value is there and you can see it, but you just literally pulling off 360 and be like, oh, real estate, it was like this. So that's what it is. These the comps that support it. And it's like, nah.
So I have one recently, it was the condo in Euclid, but it's really like Richmond Heights area code and a street over from Richmond Heights. And I pulled all the comps and showed him like, look, it's not even a quarter mile away. We got a whole bunch of condos that are priced 140, whatever. He would not give it to us, and I feel like it was because he went to the house when the sellers and buyers are there, and he was very late, so they let him have it. Like, you can't. You told us 2 hours ago, So we fought tooth and nail, and then he listed it as a condo and not a townhouse, which I I think we all know that that makes a difference. And it was an entire argument. So I went to the bank and I was like, listen, he said, and I've never looked at appraisals. If I could be honest, until now, I started looking to see what is it that they're actually putting into this. And I called the bank, I'm like, well, he has it listed as a condo, it's a townhouse. When I called him and asked him about why it come in so well, and he was like, oh, because it's Euclid and not Richmond Heights. I was like, well, it's Richmond Heights zip code and it's a quarter of a mile away. Does that really matter? Like, I was told it's a mile in a year. So he was like, well, I can probably take you up a little bit. Well, we had it under contract for like, I think it was like 146 we were under contract for. He was trying to appraise it for 100. And I'm like, and we also had all the finishes, glass staircase, like just everything. And I'm like, this is not. So after I talked to the lender, he came back up and gave us 135, which still wasn't okay, but it was better than 100. So we made it happen. But that was my first time ever like really looking at an appraisal, really challenging. And I think this is what these groups even boil down to, is because sometimes you do go through this business like whatever, I just want to close, or and you just not thinking of all aspects. And you know, listening to other stories, you realize like, no, I need to pay attention because these people are doing this for a reason, and this is how I can handle it. Thank you.
We got another question in the chat. Real quick, how many members are there for Cleveland Realtors Association?
Currently, we have between 150 and 200 local, but we're trying to increase that. So that's why we need to pass.
I think we have over 100 people in KW, this office in KW.
Yeah, this office alone,
Yeah, this one,
130.
Agents.
Yeah.
How many
Black agents.
born-owned agents?
No.
That's a-
You know it.
Yeah.
How many?
113.
What?
I think.
Around here in this office. Oh, really?
Yeah.
I can honestly say I probably only have seen or know probably about 20. If that.
Well, the list buy sell team has 20.
That's only a quarter.
I mean, when they come here, too, there should be some kind of introductory thing, because everyone says, oh, I've never heard of the realtors before.
Yeah.
They know realtors because you can't give them the MLS.
I don't even know all of
Otherwise, a lot of
that.
people wouldn't join the realtor. That's why we joined that. But,
What's your contact information?
I'll give it to you. I'm gonna have Cardi, I'll give you a brochure on the organization.
I'll take one of those.
Okay.
That might be something we can do. Like, I know with, we were trying to do almost like a sunshine committee. So when new agents came in of color, that we could introduce them. And I know the Facebook group that Elisa started, that was like one of the first things, but something formal that, you know, this is the Cleveland Realtors Association. So I think that might be something good as well, first get involved.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we can, we, like, when we onboard, right, we can, you know, we make the KW Brown part of the conversation, and we can just add, you know, information about realtors in the whole onboarding process.
Is it a way we could just set up for everybody to come out their next deal?
Come out what?
Their next deal? Make it easy.
That's definitely a good
Then it's done, you know, then we all apart. You know, everybody.
I'm
She was
down.
not there, yeah.
There's no reason we couldn't do that.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, you can do it for me.
Right, you can do it. No,
So
we
they don't have
no,
to
I
be
think
back here, it's open.
It's open.
That's that, yeah.
Yeah, because
That's that.
John left his part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
John does a lot of work in our city too. So he needs to be a part.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Let me start on that one.
All right, so thank you, everyone, and I look forward to seeing you in our next meeting.
Yeah.
Real quick, there's one more question not related to Realtors in the chat, but I think for that conversation. Deb,
Yeah, Debbie Gross. There are some neighborhoods that I do not feel comfortable showing homes in. How do you handle passing on showing homes in those areas?
Put it on Facebook. Anybody want to lead in these, please?
Yeah, you gotta refer it out. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable
Or partner
doing
with somebody and go.
it, yeah, or send, I mean, there's plenty of agents that'll go. But you just gotta go, you gotta talk to who's willing to go. You
One
know?
last thing that was in here that I didn't see before. Do you ever have your sellers remove personal items?
All the
All the
time.
Especially for appraisal,
What was
yes.
that again? And honestly,
Remove
that doesn't
personal
matter if
items.
it's black or white.
Yeah.
You should always have them removed.
Yeah.
But the thing, you understand.
I understood the question as
Yeah.
it was.
Yeah, you understand that, yeah, the same, because, I go in and show houses all the time where the people, if they're Caucasian, they have not removed their personal items. I know their children's names, I know how to reach grandma, it's on the refrigerator, and they have their wedding pictures up, everything. And I have my black clients remove all of that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll change. Like, I had clients not walk into a house because they like, oh, you
I
can't do
literally
this.
somebody, the owner,
Yeah.
I went to show a house in, it was Piedmont Heights or University, somewhere in that area. This was a while ago. On time for the showing. The white owner came outside, looked at me and my client was like, "Oh, you guys can't come in today, I'm sorry." And I was just like, "So you don't want to sell the house or what?" And then my client looked at me and was like, plain as day, "Oh, F him. I don't want your fucking house anyway." Like, let's roll. But I'm
Did
like,
you
this is how real.
did you report that?
No, I just keep on rolling. But that was the owner, not the, it was not the agent, but
The- Still, we have to report it because, and keep accounting of it. So, because the seller, if they're listed with an agent, the seller can't do that
Yeah.
according to fair housing law.
But yeah, you're right.
Because the agent is still responsible.
Yes,
I was just like, oh, okay. It's
Yeah.
not like he said, you
Yeah.
can't come because you're black, but
Did he have
it was
to, though?
there. It's like, oh, okay.
no, but I, not personally, the agent called me, but there was a white male Caucasian agent who had black clients who had rented the house and he was taking them to go pick up the keys and the seller came out and went, "Oh, hell no," and wouldn't give them the keys and was like, "I'll give you your money back," but no.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, hell no.
Yo. Get a little bold out here.
You up next, Ed? Let's get it.
All right.
Floor is yours.
So I believe I'm talking about leverage
Yeah,
and
leverage.
teams and ownership, business ownership.
How to get a hat like that.
How to be the sharpest dresser alive. So it's not bad.
As far as leverage, I'll start there. And when I started in real estate, I started on a team, and I learned quickly that you having other people doing the other jobs leads you to more dollar productive work. So I always focused on my dollars per hour. And whenever I look at something like going out and showing something, or like you guys do here in Ohio, sitting and waiting for an inspector to do their job, which I still don't understand. I look at, can I pay someone else to do that for me while I do something that makes me more money? And so I always look at it as dollars per hour and what can I leverage out my time for? And there's always someone who enjoys that work, because I may think that, and I would never want to spend my time doing that. But other people that may be their cup of tea. They may love, looking at old expires and filtering them through the MLS and seeing what has sold and what hasn't sold. I don't want to spend my time doing that. But as soon as they give me that list, I'll get on the phone and talk to them. I'll go out and meet with them. So always look at, if it's are you willing to do something for $10, $15 an hour or $20 an hour? Or is your time worth more than that? And if it is, then pay someone $10, $15, $20 an hour to go do that while you make 50 or 100 or 200 or whatever your dollars per hour is worth to you. So that's always how I looked at leverage, is as soon as you get to a point where, and you should always be making almost double what you're paying someone to do. So if you're gonna pay someone to do it, then you should be making double what you're paying them. They should free you up to make more money so that you can pay them and get a profit. And that's how you look at leverage. So making sure that if you hit a point where, I think in Bolt they call it the breakdown or breakthrough. And if you get too busy or things are starting to, feel like it's going crazy, you don't have enough time, then you need leverage. You need someone else who can give you more time. And, I have 5 kids. So, so I look at time as an expression of love. If I can't give my kids and my wife that time, that's me taking love away from them. And so that's the most important thing to me. And so I look at it as, just pay someone else, make money on that time, and then free up all the time I have to spend that time with my family. And yeah.
I think one of the biggest questions that, I don't know if it's just me or probably especially a lot of new agents, is how do they know when it's time to get that leverage, or spend that dollar on leverage, and what is the next step? I don't know if you've read the Millionaire Real Estate Agent.
Yes.
Do you follow that? Did you do it a different way?
So yes and no. I mean, I've read Millionaire Real Estate Agent, I've read Shift, I've read Millionaire Real Estate Investor, Pivot, all of it. I've read all of them. But it just comes down to, really, you don't have to hire someone long-term. You can do part-time. You can do, it's whatever makes sense for you. Remember, my theory on how I do it, and this may not work for everyone, is again, what am I worth? When I break down my time, because that's how I look at every deal I do. How many hours did I spend on that? What was my dollars per hour? And when I'm cruising, I make more than doctors.
Right.
So, that's how you look at it, and if I can do that and pay someone else to do the stuff that I don't want to do, that frees up more of my time, that I can make more money, then that's when it's time.
Right.
Or when you feel you don't have any time, when you feel you're too pressured, that's the time to do it too. Because it'll take that pressure off of you, and then you can refocus.
Yeah. Overwhelmed.
So are you talking like, you're paying somebody to go cut the grass while you go do lead calls, or are you talking more specifically in regards to real estate activities?
It's throughout my whole life.
Yeah.
All of it.
I pay if it makes sense that I can do lead generation. If I was going to go spend 2 hours in the yard, I'm not spending time with my kids anyway. I'm out. They could be running around and doing stuff, but they can do that while I'm on the phone.
Yeah,
But if I'm going out cutting grass and paying somebody to do that, or doing it myself, and I could be using that time to make calls. One call can net you thousands of dollars.
This is true.
Why would I waste that time cutting my grass when I can pay somebody $25 or 50 or 75 or whatever it is, to come over and cut my grass, and I can make thousands.
I heard Shoshana told me, this was just a few weeks ago. She was like, look, until you have help, and this is probably more so for people with kids, and especially the person managing the household, but she was just like, if you don't, finding help at home is the first step. And I don't know how effective that is, but she's basically like, look, have somebody clean this house for you, figure out a meal service or whatever the case may be, spend that time at home with your kid, be productive at work, and then hire help at work. it made a lot of sense to me, because I'm like, shoot, even if I did, I still gotta come home and cook and clean up and chase, you see the kid running through there, you know? So, yeah, but it's just about like, when do I make that call, and, you know?
So I guess I actually did skip over the first step. The first step is to leverage your own time.
Right.
And that's through time blocking. And if you're not effectively time blocking, then you're not leveraging your own time, because scheduling allows freedom.
Yeah.
And, you know, and just like they say, the first thing you should always schedule is the time of the things that you schedule to your priority. So I always schedule my family time first. You know, whatever, like tomorrow, I think I've got 3 hours blocked off to take my kids up to the beach. You know, just because it was the last day of school today, I'm going to celebrate with them, and I blocked off that time. And so, you know, schedule that ahead of time and then fill in around that. And, you know, again, scheduling your priority, lead gen is always my priority, because that's our job, period. You know, and just like I tell all the other agents I work with, you know, it doesn't matter. Deals fall out, everything happens. I don't care what happens to a deal once they're my client. I mean, I'll work hard. I'll make sure that I do everything I can to see it close, but I've got no attachment to it, because I'm always getting new business. And that's, you know, that's the name of the game. Always get new business, and then you don't care, because none of that matters. Every deal you have in that pipeline can fall through, because you're like, oh, I got 10 more to take their place.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how you got to look at it. So our job is lead generation. So that's always your number one priority for work. And if you erase it, you must replace it. You know, it doesn't go away. You know, and my wife actually told me this a while ago. She's a professor, and she said, I can't grade 90% of the kids' work. She was like, I have to grade all of it. You know, it just doesn't go away. I can't do 90%. So I can't get 90% of lead gen done and think that that's okay. I have to get 100% of it and do the whole job every day. Whatever I set out to do, I have to do it. And if I don't do it today, I add that time to tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that's how it works until it's done. So leverage your time first, because you can free up your own time just by scheduling well. And then after you've done that, leverage other people's time. Because a lot, and this actually goes into business ownership, because everyone in here is self-employed, except maybe a couple people. So everyone in here is self-employed. A lot of us will call ourselves business owners, but you're not a business owner if you're trading your time for money.
Absolutely.
If you're going out and doing the job and getting paid, because here's the test. If you get sick or if you go on vacation,
It's a wrap.
are you making money?
I'm still working on vacation.
And again, that's the thing. Like, if you can't stop work and not be making money, you're not a business owner.
Right.
But as soon as you're leveraging other people's time for money, then you're a business owner. Because when I can walk away and I've got money coming in from Asheville, I've got, you know, if I can do that, then I'm a business owner.
Where the heck is Asheville?
North Carolina. So it's 2 hours west of Charlotte. It's in the mountains.
Okay.
So, yeah, 3 hours north of Atlanta, 2 hours from Charlotte, 2 hours from Knoxville. But yeah, so that's business ownership. So you should always, and like Eric Keller says, you're 5 years away from
Right.
changing your whole life. I started real estate in 2015. You know, I have a team down there. They're plugging away at it. I'm building one up here. And I wouldn't have thought that possible from where I was when I started in real estate. So, you know, moving to a city where I knew no one, I only knew people in the house with me. And so, you know, and I got my license and still knew no one. And I did what you did. I hit the phones. And, you know, that's how I built my business. So I practiced every day. I hit the phones, I talked to people, And I went to places that, yeah, I was afraid. You know, especially when you go in some of those mountain areas. I didn't know if I was coming out. I mean, there's some good old boys still up there. So, you know, but I also went to $1 million plus properties. I started in luxury. And so, you know, I started not knowing anything, but, you know, going in there and telling them I can sell your house.
After you started in luxury, you had a pretty good connect.
Yeah, that I did actually, because like I said, when I first started, I joined the team, and he was a luxury specialist, and so I kind of got pulled along into that because I was his only other listing agent. So that gave me my foot in the door. So yeah. Yes.
All right, so totally loving this. What kind of systems do you have in place?
Yeah.
You have to have some systems in order to have a team running there.
Yeah.
Then come up here to start business. So systems, I know what kind of systems do you have.
So the thing about systems is you can actually build most of them yourself. When you're doing your job, write down how you do your job. You know, and that's the thing. So I have SOIs. So all my standard operating, you know, stuff. And so what I would do is I would say, okay, if I'm going to make calls, I have this open, and I would just write down everything that I did. And I journal all the time. I'm constantly writing. You know, yeah. So I'm constantly writing. And so I take down and write down everything that I do. And then that way, when I don't want to do it anymore, I can hand that to someone else and say, here's how you do it. And then I can also inspect what I expect. If I have an expectation of, you know, a standard of operation, if I expect them to hit certain numbers, I can go back in and I make everybody report their numbers. I put it into a spreadsheet, and I can see where the breakdowns are happening. You know, I can look and say, okay, well, you're making this many calls, but you're not connecting, or you're getting appointments, but you're not actually getting listings or anything like that. So I have spreadsheets. Luckily, my wife's really smart, so she can build all that stuff for me. And so, you know, most of the systems I created just by writing down my day-to-day, like how I did it. And then that way I can, you know, give it to someone else. Because again, just like everything else in leverage, before you hire someone to do a job, you should know how to do that job yourself.
Right.
Because if you don't, you can't actually inspect it. You don't know if they're doing a good job. You don't know if they're doing what they're supposed to, because you don't know how to do the job yourself. And then that hire that you can fire right away because you know they're not living up to expectations could take months of wasting your time and your money, and then more months for hiring a new one and then training them. So that could take a lot of time to get rid of people if they're not living up to that expectation you set.
So once you have your system,
I think you was actually.
I got all involved.
Honestly, I'm about to ask, probably, so how did you go about hiring your admin and making sure your admin was somebody that's adding value and not somebody that's just, you know, punching numbers?
Honestly, I got lucky.
You're a lucky guy, man. Like,
I mean,
every single thing, like, I got lucky.
I mean, it really was that. So the admin from my team before left the team before I left. And then, you know, when I went solo, she reached out to me. And so I knew how she worked.
She's like, I never liked those guys.
So I, you know, I knew how she worked, and I knew she was top level and could, you know, crush it on deals.
So where did you come to that point where you was like, okay, XX, she's gonna handle this, and then I can trust that she's doing that, you know? Because I was like, all right, like I know a lot of people in here like, all right, I don't want to do lead generation, I don't want to call, so I got X doing calls, and I'm tracking those calls. So how did you decide, like, okay, is James on the calls, or I'm gonna let them do the calls on this, or how did you delegate and
So
figure out how, okay, my best time is used doing this?
I've fired most of my ISAs. I actually all of them. I don't have one right now.
Okay.
So I've gone through ISAs like crazy,
Mhm.
just because I did it at a very high level,
Right,
and most people don't.
right.
You know, because and I hate being on the phones. I really
Everybody
do.
That's what
Right.
I was like,
You know,
anybody.
I don't like it. Never have. It's hard work. It's emotionally taxing. But you know, I also know that where else am I going to make this money?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I could go get a job.
No, that's fine.
You know,
That's
but are they
fine.
going to pay me this? No. So when it comes down to where did I figure out how to hire or when to hire? Because I guess I'm not sure. Are you asking when or
Well,
how,
no,
or-
because you know that's the next step, is hiring an admin. I mean, you get a transaction coordinator, or you can say, hey, I'm gonna bring in another agent, but the admin is the glue. The admin is the one that holds all of it together if you really select a good admin. And I was just wondering, like, okay, like you said, you knew automatically, like, oh, she's a killer.
Right.
All right, what did that consist of?
So it consisted of, of course, my business was built off listings.
Okay.
I was always a listing agent. And I worked very closely with her
Okay.
because, you know, I was constantly emailing and I'm always CC'd on anything that she's doing.
Mhm.
So I see it. And she'll, you know, she's in my email. She's got access to everything.
So she took over.
Yeah. So, and again, I don't like doing that stuff. You know,
Of course.
I'm like most agents. I'm not great at that kind of thing.
Right.
You know, and she makes me look good because she's responding to people as me. She's, you know, she's responding to
Absolutely.
people as herself.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty.
How many times has she emailed me?
How long have you been in this market here in Ohio?
I got licensed in late January.
Oh, here.
Yes,
You
here.
have a team here?
I have one agent that I work with. She's brand new. She got licensed sometime in February. I always expect Danielle to be in these rooms.
Tell you who it is and when.
So yeah, she got licensed in February at some point, and so she's down out of Kent. But I went to Kent State, so I used to live here. And I knew her from then, so I've known her for like 23 years or something like that.
Sweet.
But yeah, she reached out to me a year ago, and I talked her into going into real estate. And it just so happened that I wound up coming back. And so I said, well, since I'm here, why don't you work with me?
Who or what was your first hire?
Admin.
You
Admin.
have an admin here, right?
No, she has my admin down there actually does.
That's both. Yeah.
What's
Makes
your
sense.
opinion on the virtual? I pay someone $1,200 a month. So far, it's been good. I had somebody here, but they work full time. But I need somebody every minute, like boom, boom, just. And I'm doing that right now. A few little negatives, but I don't have to do anything. Let's say.
$1,200 a month. I would honestly suggest cyberbackers.
What is that?
So that's a virtual admin.
Is that what you
They're
use?
out of the Philippines.
Yeah, that's what it
That's
is.
what you have.
That's what you use? I've not seen anything bad with them.
You said cyber backers?
Yeah, cyberbackers, because they'll do your Facebook, they'll do your social media.
They're trained in all three of
Yeah,
those
they're trained in all the
Carol
KW
has a good
systems.
portion of
They're-
that.
they
Yeah, I had a new
man-
girl, but the person trained Jane's person, Carol.
Yeah,
trained her,
Jan's.
but-
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're there from 8 to 5.
Carol.
And you just.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought I was really good at paperwork and keeping up the transactions until I hired Katie, and I was like, sheesh. She's a TC, and I'm like, I didn't even know you spoke. She is. I'm like, oh,
Yeah, so, yeah, the admin, it should almost make everything else smoother, seamless, like, you know, she checks me. honestly, like your admin should be so on top of it that she's texted me like, hey, did you see this? Did you do this? And then, I'm like, I didn't even know, but okay.
That's what I'm missing, see,
Right.
because she's young, so in my mind, I've been in the business so long, something will just pop up and I'm asking her, did you do ABC? Did you follow up with blank just through a text? So that's why I asked you that, just that little bit. I'm gonna give it some time because it's only been 3
I'm like,
months.
if I gotta do all
Yeah,
that.
But I need somebody to remind me. I can't keep reminding everybody.
Yeah, and that's where my admin is. My admin reminds me, because again, it depends on what level of access you're giving your admin.
Right.
Because my admin, like I said, she's in my email. She's in my, and so anything that comes to me, she's got her own email, but she's monitoring mine, she's monitoring hers.
Yes.
And so anything that I'm getting, she's on top of it to make sure that, hey, did you see this? Did you, and again, that's just a matter of onboarding, hiring, and that, 30, 60, 90 plan that you set up for your admin. Because, the first 30 days is, feeling them out, teaching them the systems, everything else like that. The next is kind of letting go of their hand a little bit and, seeing, coming back in and helping them when they need it, teaching them the things. And then that last 30 days is you're on your own, but I'm monitoring this. And if it's right, we move forward. If it's not, on to the next. Because I learned early on, I was the head of arbitration for a department for a while, and I always said my guys would actually fire themselves. I didn't have to fire anybody, because if you set the expectation the right way, they know if they're hitting those benchmarks. And the first time they mess up or anything like that, it's, oh, okay. How can we improve this? What can I be doing? Do you need some more education around this? And come to them as, how can I help you? And the next time, same thing. It's, okay, well, here's where the standards are. And you recognize these standards. Can you accomplish this goal? If not, then no hard feelings. Let's keep it moving. And then on that third time, it's like, they come to me and they're like, I guess I can't, because they know. It's not that I'm being judgmental or harsh or anything. It's that I set a line and I say, here's the line. And, this is the expectation. If you're not hitting that, here's the door. I'm going to coach you up or I'm going to coach you out. And so that's, that's how you hire. And that's also how you fire.
That's serious. That's
I
serious.
like that.
So what about, so like you said, you've been through plenty of ISAs. You have any success with any firms that,
They call for you?
not only call,
James, you got a call.
they do everything, right? Now, no, like I know people that have, while we laugh and joke, I know people who are wildly successful in doing this, and they don't touch a phone. They're not even licensed, so it's like,
It's hit or miss,
Understand
and
that.
you can lose a lot of money that way.
right.
So I was also very fortunate that when I started, I joined a team that did not pay for leads,
Okay.
refused.
Right.
And so I had to learn how to do it.
Yeah.
And, and I think that's the best thing that could have happened to me is that, especially in times like this, because in times like this, the agents that don't know how to dig up those leads
Right.
are out the door.
Right.
Those are the ones who are going to fail
Right.
because they don't know how to do it. So, yeah, I know you feel the same way. But yeah, that's just it. You gotta learn how to work for it because it's that feast or famine. And right now, when in those times where everything's going up, it's easy to ride that wave.
Sure.
And, same thing with those ISA firms and everything else. They're making calls and everybody's saying yes and that kind of. What happens when everybody's
Right.
Right.
now you're paying, but they're not producing.
For sure.
And you're not producing because you're expecting someone else to do it for you.
Right.
So what happens after a month of that, 2 months of that? How long can you go without getting paid?
I can't go.
So
I can't go without getting paid.
So unless you can, and that's how I feel, unless I can control it, my family's not gonna starve.
Got
You know,
I got
I
you.
mean, if I'm not in control and I'm waiting on someone else to do something for me,
Right.
and I'm not their boss. And I can't sit there over them and be like, hey, let me see your numbers, are you doing this, how long are you on the phone?
Right.
Like, if I'm not seeing that, that doesn't work for me.
Just curious. I mean, you know.
So did you find out it was easier to move to a new market, having systems already in place and understanding the business? So it's interchangeable. Just
It is. Ohio is very different than my market. I joke about this all the time. It's. I mean, we did not have graduated compensation, none of that stuff. Like, I came up here, I was like, is this real? I called Danielle, I was like, is this, I called Lisa too, like, like, am I just seeing like a couple deals? And or is this just like the market, you know? And, but yeah, you know, the same thing with like, yeah, like, and even in the inspection periods, like a lot of things are different. So I had to, I'm still relearning as I'm moving forward, but you know, that's just all part of being in a new market, is learning how that market works and finding the niches. You know, just like I was telling Michael, you know, being here, I see the investment aspect of Cleveland. And that's what I'm pitching to everybody back in Asheville, because Cleveland cash flows.
Right.
You know, I can sell a double wide in Asheville for 180,000.
Damn.
I can buy houses here for what you put as a down payment in Asheville. You know, I can buy whole houses. So, you know, to them, it's just like, you know, yeah, let's go. You know, so I'm still learning. You know, I just found out about that lead-based paint thing a week ago, because I have a friend who just is getting certified on how to do those inspections or whatever. But yeah, I'm learning the little tricks that, you know, you guys are talking about that Cleveland has to kind of, you know, curb that investor.
So I know there, especially as new agents, people that consider, would they rather join the team or would they rather be solo agent? And obviously there's ups and downs to both. So like your opinion on joining the team versus solo, or why would you do either or?
So as far as teams are a great place to learn. Most people spend about 2 years on a team. 2 to 3 years is how long most agents' lifespan is on a team before they either go out on their own or whatever. So it's a great place to learn, but what I always told new agents was, you are paying them. They are not paying you. So always be looking at it as, you know, a cost analysis, a cost value analysis. So you know, what am I paying them? How much am I getting out? And what am I getting for what I'm paying? You know, am I getting an education? Are they leveraging my time? You know, what are my actual duties for what I make? So always be looking at it and running those analysis in your head to say, is the value there for me to stay on this team? You know, are they providing leads? Or, you know, because again, I wasn't being given leads, so to speak, but I was given a lot of education. And what is that worth to me?
And you started in luxury.
Right. So, you know, well, again, that was me looking and saying, where do I want to be? And, you know, aligning myself with the people who were already in that lane. So, you know, again, it's you're paying them, and make sure that they're providing the value for what you're paying them for. Because if they're saying, give me half or give me 20% or 10% or whatever, well, you know, giving you 10% or, you know, whatever the team split is, like, you know, okay, so where's the rest of this going? my money is going in your business. Like, how much is the admin getting paid for my deals? How much is marketing? How much is, and once you start figuring that out, start looking at, okay, well, how much do signs actually cost me? How much do my own cards cost me? How much does my membership on the board cost me? So, those are the things that you look at and then say, can I afford that? And if not, and you start thinking that the team is not giving you the value, how soon can I afford that? Start planning for it. Set a business plan together to go out on your own.
And then on the opposite side, as a rainmaker, you're always looking for how do you maximize the value add to retain people as long as you can.
Yes. So and people will stay for culture, a lot. And so if you can provide a culture that's, educational and inviting in a way that, because a lot of, like right there, the God, family, then business, a lot of companies will tell you, oh, we're family, but it's a company, it's a business. They're not family. If things go south, you can get fired, So it's not a family. And I mean, it may feel like that. You may have that camaraderie, things like that. But again, it's your value proposition, just like what you're doing for a client. When you go to a listing presentation or a buyer presentation, what is your value proposition to them? Why should they pay you? Just like, if I had a, $5 million listing, why should I pay you hundreds of thousands of dollars selling my house? I mean, what are you going to say? Why should I stay at your real estate company? What am I going to say? Have that prepared. Have a reason why they should stay with you and what you can provide. Because again, it's if your ceiling isn't high enough, if their ceiling is higher than yours, they shouldn't be there. Because you shouldn't be the limiting factor on what they can do. So you have to make sure that your ceiling is higher than theirs. And if they have a dream to do this, your dream should be up here. And your goal as a rainmaker should always be to help them achieve their goals. Because it's always about focusing on what is your goal? How do I get you there? And actually, how do I exceed your expectation? What can I do to get you past that goal so that when you look back, you say that was a complete success?
That's it right there.
Very good.
Yeah, damn good.
Anything in the chat?
Yes, we say any questions?
All right, no questions.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah.